Okay, so first of all, let me make it very clear that I absolutely hate The Last Jedi. And that is hate with all capital letters. So don't get any idea that I'm in the least bit on the side of modern Disney here, because I'm as anti modern Disney as you can get. But there is one scene in TLJ which tends to get focused on a lot by my fellow TLJ haters, and kind of held up by them as the encapsulation of everything wrong with this movie. Um, and I think that taken out of context, it's not actually that bad a scene. Um, and so I'm going to give a couple reasons why it's not that bad a scene out of context. And that if the movie had actually been good otherwise, there wouldn't, people wouldn't be as down on it as they are. And the scene that I'm talking about is, of course, the scene where Luke, or Jake, drinks really fresh milk. We're assuming it's milk, anyway. Though in the world of modern Disney, it could easily be something more disgusting. It could easily be green piss or semen or something. But we're assuming it's milk, and the detractors, the regular people um, who are criticizing this scene, will usually say it as they made Luke drink titty milk. I can't believe they had Luke drinking titty milk. That's awful. And first of all, let me clue my fellow Star Wars fans in here. Uh, but all milk is titty milk. You're being redundant. Milk always comes from tits, or teats, as it were. It's the fluid that comes through the teats to feed the young. That's what milk is. Soy milk and almond milk and all of that stuff in the stores. That's not actually milk. Okay, it's called milk simply because of a mild resemblance, but that's nut juice, right? But actual milk is is the nutritious fluid um, that comes from the teats of female mammals for the nourishment of the young. It's nutritious, it's delicious, it's natural, it's and it's normally drunk by the young, the normal recipients. It's normally drunk by them from the tap. And in that state, it's actually warm rather than cold. We grown-ups who drink milk from the store, we're used to drinking it chilled, at least here in America, and from plastic or cardboard containers. But that's not the normal way milk comes, right? It's normally warm. It's normally um, straight from the tap, and you know, maybe my fellow Star Wars fans have to go visit farms more often or something, or um, or find some lactating women to latch onto, because there's nothing gross about milk straight from the tap. In fact, this is making me thirsty. I'd like to find me a lactating breast to latch onto. Uh, so, my fellow Star Wars fans, don't be milkophobes. Um, and the thing is, if Luke or Jake is on that desert island, not desert, but this island island planet out in the middle of nowhere for no good reason, and he's got these limited resources of food. He's got the milk, he's got the fish, and he's got the puffins. I used to know what the puffins were called, but I've forgotten because I spent the last several years trying to forget this movie. Um, but he's got those three things basically, and so of course, if he's got access to fresh milk, take it. Um, when I first watched this movie on opening night, I wanted to love this movie. I desperately wanted to love this movie, and so I was interpreting everything, every scene, every moment in the most positive way possible. And um, when it came to this scene, I was like, that, and then him spearing the fish. I was like, oh, this is awesome. Not only is he a wise and powerful Jedi Master, but he's a survivalist. He's not only this great sage, but he's also got a Bear Grylls thing going on. He's he's grown into more of a manly man, right? he's 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 another level man, right? Another level um, hero, right? And so that's the way I was interpreting it at the time. Um, like I said, take these things out of context, and so yeah, the him just simply drinking milk or squirting it into his space Walmart bottle, and then drinking it immediately. Nothing wrong with that. Um, and and then to move on to the second point, um, which is probably the more pertinent, is the fact that as Luke or Jake is drinking this milk from his space Walmart bottle, he does it in a little bit of a messy way. It's dribbling, kind of dribbling down his beard, and then he's like, yeah, does that sort of thing, which some fans may think is kind of an undignified way for Luke to act. But I will say that while Luke has always been a serious character, he's never really been known for being humorous at all. I think it is plausible and permissible that the character could have developed a little bit of a sense of humor in 30 years. That he could have developed a little bit of the playful, naughty uncle side, right? You can easily imagine him playing with, if this were the classic EU, him playing with Jaina and Jason and Anakin, um, and having and letting loose a little bit, not a whole lot, because um, that's not his character, but a little bit I think is plausible and permissible. So you could say that a little bit of that uncle playfulness is coming out when he's first encountering Rey in this scene. Um, and then, of course, there's the idea that I'm sure has been brought up before, that he's imitating his old master Yoda, who, of course, played it a bit goofy at first when Luke and Yoda first met on Dagobah. He was still saying some fairly wise things. Wars not make one great. Looking, found someone you have, I would say. It's not really wise, but it's an astute observation. um, and but he's mainly being goofy and not what Luke is expecting. But once he does reveal himself to Luke, he stays serious from that point on, with the slight exception of him saying, when 900 years you reach, look as good you will not in Return of the Jedi. But for the most part, it's goofy until it's serious, and then it's serious. And Luke may be playing that goofy side, and trying to throw Rey for a bit of a loop at first, when she's first encountering him. So those are two reasons why I think it's permissible for that scene out of context to play the way it is. And I think that if Luke had acted like Luke for the rest of the movie, and the rest of the movie had been actually good, that those who are now down on the scene wouldn't have been down on the scene. They would have been cool with it if it had all played out properly, right? Uh, so, um, yeah, so, anyway, I guess that's all I have to say is milk, the development of a little bit of a sense of humor, a little bit of playfulness, emulating his old Jedi Master, um, and being a survivalist, and then the spin I was putting on at the time, which even when he was telling her to go away, my mind was going to Fight Club, where you'd have the guys who want to be a part of the club, having to stand on the front porch for like 3 days or something, while they get yelled at to go away before they get accepted, right? I was thinking of that sort of thing. So I was trying to put as much positive spin on it as I could at the time, but eventually I couldn't. I had to acknowledge that this whole thing was a perfectly constructed piece of absolute garbage. But like I said, if you take the scene out of context, it could have worked in an actually good movie. So, anyway, thanks for listening. Bye.